In this lesson, we're going to look at the first of two examples that involve JavaScript clients and JSON documents. This example also illustrates what people call orchestrating web services. So let me begin with the orchestration idea. Web services are meant to be highly modular. REST-style services in particular have a very simple API, and these two facts encourage what folks call orchestration. That is, getting distinct web services to work together in order to create bigger, richer, more complicated services. In this particular example, we're going to orchestrate two distinct web services. We've seen already, or at least we've talked about in general, why JavaScript clients should prefer JSON to XML, plain text, or some other format as a response document from a RESTful service. And the reason can be depicted down here. If a JavaScript client gets a JSON document, that document can be unmarshaled into a native JavaScript object, which then can be processed in the usual way. Let me illustrate this with an image, and this will clarify what this first service looks like. Why don't we start on the right-hand side? You see something here called the W3C service. Technically, this service doesn't come from the World Wide Web Consortium, but rather from the World Wide Web Consortium Schools, which is an independent group that specializes in education and consulting for all things web. In any case, one of these W3C services delivers up a list of CDs from the 1980s, artist, name of album, price, that sort of information. But the response is in XML, as you can see in the image. So in this example, I've written an intermediate web service. Let's call that the CD service. It's very, very simple, JSP-based with a backend Java bean, just like the first example we saw. And the main job of that CDs service is to take the XML payload and convert it to JSON. And that JSON is then sent back to a jQuery script. So jQuery, I'm sure you're familiar with it, at least by reputation, is a particular dialect of JavaScript, a very friendly one for what we want to do. That jQuery script is running in an HTML page that we're looking at in a browser. So going the other way, the jQuery script issues a GET request against the CDs service, which then issues a GET request against the W3C schools service. The CD service in the middle gets back an XML document, converts it into a JSON document, sends it back to the jQuery script, which then does some processing. So let me illustrate that by bringing up a browser and showing you the whole thing. Let me refresh this URL. By the way, I've published this service using Tomcat. So what's happened is the request has gone from the browser to the CDs service, which has gone to the W3C school service. The CD service got back XML and converted it to the JSON that you see displayed in this alert window. Now the font is a little bit small, but if you look at that very first line, you can see a left square bracket. That's a JavaScript array. Inside, you can see a left brace. That's a particular CD object. So what you have is an array of these. What the JavaScript, in this case the jQuery, does is it takes that JSON document, it's converted into an array. This is actually done automatically, as we'll see when we look at the code. And then the jQuery creates an unordered list of, in this case, the name of the album and the artist. So the first entry you can see is Empire Burlesque, Bob Dylan, all the way down to the bottom, Unchain My Heart, Joe Cocker. This is an overall view. This will give us some context. What we'll do in the next lesson is get into the details and start looking at the code. The JSP code is very simple. The backend bean is very simple. And we'll also have a chance to look at the jQuery.